Ambassador Zixa trembled as her ship approached Earth's orbit. Her blue scales shimmered under the spacecraft's dim lights while her four eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of extreme nervousness in her species. The young Silaxian diplomat had heard too many horror stories about humans to feel calm. "Landing in 10 minutes, Ambassador," the ship's AI announced. Zixa checked her translator device for the 100th time. Everyone knew that failing to communicate with humans properly could end badly. Very badly. Her people had studied Earth's broadcasts for years before making contact, and one thing was clear: humans were obsessed with eating. Their entertainment channels showed endless programs about food. Their news talked about restaurants and cooking all the time. Even their greeting customs often involved sharing meals. And the most terrifying part: humans could eat almost anything. What if, Zixa whispered to herself, all these food shows are just their way of deciding how to eat other species? The ship landed smoothly at the United Earth Diplomatic Center in Geneva. Zixa took several deep breaths, her chest rising and falling quickly. She was the youngest ambassador ever chosen from her world, and she couldn't fail this mission. Peace between humans and Silaxians depended on her. As she walked down the ship's ramp, a small group of humans waited below. They wore formal suits and friendly smiles, but Zixa couldn't help noticing their sharp teeth when they grinned. Humans were the only known species that had both sharp and flat teeth, perfect for eating all types of food, or aliens. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Zixa," said a tall human female, stepping forward. "I'm Director Sarah Chen. We're honored to have you here for the peace talks." Zixa bowed slightly, remembering her training. "The honor is mine, Director Chen. I bring greetings from the Silaxian High Council. Your Earth standard is excellent," Sarah commented. "I'm sure you'll get along wonderfully with your liaison." Zixa's lower eyes widened. "Liaison? Yes, meet Chef Michael Rodriguez. He'll be your guide during your stay." A human male stepped forward. He wore a white jacket with many buttons, and his dark eyes sparkled with interest. Zixa noticed his arms were marked with small burns and cuts, signs of battle, or perhaps cooking. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Ambassador," Chef Rodriguez said warmly. "I've been studying Silaxian culture for months to prepare for your arrival. I hope you'll enjoy experiencing Earth's customs during your stay." Zixa's translator didn't miss the word experiencing, and her scales paled slightly. Was this human chef studying her people to learn how to best prepare them? "Thank you," she managed to say. "I look forward to learning about Earth." "Excellent." Sarah clapped her hands together. "Chef Rodriguez has arranged a special welcome dinner for tonight. Nothing formal, just a small gathering to help you feel comfortable." Zixa's four eyes all blinked at once. "Dinner? Of course." Chef Rodriguez smiled broadly. "I've planned a menu that I think will really give you a taste of Earth culture." The young ambassador felt her legs wobble. This was exactly what she had feared. First, they assign her a chef as a liaison. Then immediately invite her to dinner. It was happening too fast. "Is everything all right, Ambassador?" Sarah asked, noticing Zixa's distress. "You seem uncomfortable." "No. I mean, yes. Everything is fine," Zixa said quickly, forcing her scales to maintain their normal blue color. She couldn't risk offending them. Who knew what humans did to aliens who refused their dinner invitations? "Wonderful," Chef Rodriguez said. "Shall we say 7 o'clock in the diplomatic dining room? I promise you've never experienced anything like Earth cuisine before." "That's exactly what I'm afraid of," Zixa thought. But she simply nodded, trying to keep her scales from trembling. As the humans led her toward the diplomatic quarters, Zixa's mind raced. She had 6 hours to figure out how to survive this dinner. Was she really going to be the first course in Earth-Silaxian relations? What would her people say if their youngest ambassador ended up on a human menu? One thing was certain: this was not how she had expected her first day on Earth to go. And somehow, she had to make it through dinner without becoming dinner herself. 7 o'clock arrived far too quickly for Ambassador Zixa. Her scales had shifted to a pale lavender, that Silaxian color of extreme anxiety, as she stood outside the diplomatic dining room. The sound of pots clanking and sizzling from inside made her four eyes blink in rapid succession. "Ah, Ambassador, right on time," Chef Rodriguez called out, opening the door. The human wore a white apron now splattered with colorful stains. Were those sauces, or something worse? The dining room wasn't what Zixa expected. Instead of the ominous chamber of horrors she'd imagined, it was a warm, open space with large windows showing Earth's setting sun. Most surprising was the cooking station set up right in the middle of the room. "I thought we'd try something different tonight," Chef Rodriguez said, gesturing to the setup. "An Earth tradition called interactive dining. You'll get to see exactly how everything is prepared." "Oh no," Zixa thought. "They're going to make me watch the whole process." Director Chen arrived with two other human officials. "Hope you don't mind, but Michael insisted on cooking everything fresh right in front of us. He's quite passionate about transparent food preparation." "Tea transparent?" Zixa stuttered. Did they know she could turn transparent when scared? Was that why they chose her species for this? Chef Rodriguez moved behind the cooking station, pulling out various tools that glinted under the lights. "First, I'd like to demonstrate one of Earth's most beloved cooking techniques, the flambe." Without warning, he poured liquid over the cooking surface and ignited it. A column of flames shot upward, causing Zixa to jump backward with a squeak. Her scales turned completely transparent, a defensive mechanism that had saved her ancestors from predators. "Ambassador," Director Chen called out, seeing only the outline of their guest. "Are you all right?" "Amazing," Chef Rodriguez exclaimed, completely missing the reason for her transformation. "I had read that Silaxians could achieve optical camouflage, but seeing it in person is remarkable. Please, please come closer. I promise the flames are completely controlled." Zixa forced herself to become visible again, realizing she'd caused a scene. As she approached the cooking station, she noticed something odd. The flames had died down to reveal vegetables. "For our first course," Chef Rodriguez announced proudly, "Earth-grown vegetables prepared with traditional Silaxian spices. I've been studying your world's flavor profiles." He slid a plate toward her containing perfectly grilled vegetables arranged in the traditional spiral pattern of her homeworld. The aroma was familiar. "How did you?" Zixa began, her scales shifting to curious yellow. "Your agricultural ministry was kind enough to share some basic recipes," he explained, adding a garnish that looked exactly like the moss flowers from her home city. "I believe food is the best way to bridge understanding between cultures." Still cautious, but intrigued, Zixa used her eating appendage to sample a piece. The taste was remarkable. Earth vegetables prepared with the exact spices she'd grown up with. It was like home, but different in an exciting way. "This is wonderful," she admitted, her scales now glowing a pleased orange. Chef Rodriguez beamed. "Just wait until you try what I've planned for the main course. I've combined Earth's umami flavors with your world's traditional protein preparations." As he began preparing the next dish, Zixa found herself moving closer to watch. The human's movements were precise, almost artistic. He wasn't preparing food like a predator, but like a creator. "Would you like to learn how to flip vegetables in the pan?" he offered suddenly, holding out a cooking tool. "It's a basic Earth cooking technique." Zixa hesitated. No Silaxian had ever cooked with a human before. Was this a trick? But as she watched the vegetables dance in the pan, curiosity overcame fear. Besides, if humans were going to eat her, they wouldn't waste time teaching her to cook first, right? "Yes," she said finally, her scales shifting to a determined green. "Show me how humans cook." Director Chen smiled knowingly as she watched the alien ambassador take her first steps toward becoming something unprecedented in the galaxy's history, a Silaxian chef in training. Though nobody knew it yet, this dinner would change interstellar relations forever. one recipe at a time. 3 days after the memorable dinner, Ambassador Zixa found herself in the diplomatic center's massive kitchen, her scales flickering between excited green and nervous purple. Chef Rodriguez had convinced her to take proper cooking lessons, claiming it would strengthen interstellar relations. Today, Chef Rodriguez announced, pulling out various Earth tools, "We're going to learn about Earth's most powerful cooking secret, spices." Zixa's upper eyes widened while her lower ones narrowed in confusion. "But we already use spices on Silax." "Ah, but not like this." He opened a large cabinet revealing hundreds of small containers. "Earth has thousands of spice combinations. Some can make you cry. Some make your mouth feel like it's on fire. And others can make you feel like you're tasting clouds." Crying. Fire? Clouds. Zixa's translator must be malfunctioning. Humans deliberately eat things that hurt them. "Watch this." Chef Rodriguez grinned, sprinkling red powder into a bubbling pot. The smell hit Zixa's scent receptors like a plasma blast. "Great galaxies," she exclaimed, her scales turning bright red in alarm. All 4 eyes began watering uncontrollably. "Is this a weapon?" This is just mild chili powder," he laughed. "Wait until you try ghost peppers." Suddenly, an alarm blared through the kitchen. "Fire suppression system activated," announced the AI. "DTECTing Hige LEVELs of CAPSAICIN." Before either could react, the sprinklers activated, but instead of water, they released fire-suppressing foam. In seconds, both human and alien were covered in white, fluffy substance. "I forgot," Chef Rodriguez said, wiping foam from his face. "The AI system is still adjusting to Earth cooking techniques." Zixa stood there, her usually sleek scales now puffed up with foam, making her look like a Silaxian cotton ball. To her own surprise, she started laughing, a sound that in her species came out like musical wind chimes. "Is this also part of Earth cooking lessons?" she asked, trying to shake off the foam, but only making it worse. "Usually? No, but it's definitely memorable." He paused, noticing something strange. "Ambassador, are you glowing?" Indeed, where the foam touched her scales, they had begun to emit a soft blue light. "Oh, this must be reacting with my bioluminescent layer. On my world, we use this glow to cook in the dark seasons." Chef Rodriguez's eyes lit up with excitement. "Wait, you can literally glow while cooking? That's amazing. We have to experiment with this." For the next hour, they discovered that different spices created different color reactions with her scales. Turmeric made her glow golden, saffron produced a deep purple, and paprika resulted in swirling patterns of orange and red. "This is revolutionary," Chef Rodriguez exclaimed, frantically taking notes. "Think about it. Thylaxian human fusion cuisine with a light show. We could create dishes that not only taste amazing, but create their own ambient lighting." As they experimented, neither noticed Director Chen watching from the doorway, smiling as she recorded everything on her tablet. This wasn't just cooking anymore. It was accidentally becoming the most successful diplomatic initiative in Earth's history. But their culinary experiments were interrupted when an urgent message flashed on the kitchen's display screen. "Emergency diplomates meeting. All ambassadors report immediately." Eloi. Zixa's scales dimmed, returning to their normal blue. "What's happening?" "I don't know," Chef Rodriguez replied, his expression serious. "But you might want to wash off the spices first. You're still glowing like a disco ball." "A what ball?" "Never mind. Just maybe don't glow during the emergency meeting. It might send the wrong message." As they rushed to clean up, neither realized that their accidental discovery of spice-activated Thylaxian bioluminescence would soon play a crucial role in preventing an interstellar crisis. But that was a recipe for disaster they hadn't prepared for. Yet, Ambassador Zixa and Chef Rodriguez rushed into the diplomatic chamber, still slightly damp from cleaning off the spices. They were the last to arrive, and the tension in the room was thicker than Earth's densest pudding. A reference Zixa now understood thanks to her cooking lessons. The chamber was filled with representatives from 12 different species. Some floated in anti-gravity pods, others sat in specialized environmental suits, and a few were just shimmering balls of light. But all of them looked worried. Director Chen stood at the center, her usual calm demeanor replaced with concern. "We have a situation. The Galactic Food and Safety Commission has declared Earth cuisine too dangerous for interstellar consumption. They're demanding we shut down all Earth-based restaurants in space immediately." "What?" Chef Rodriguez exclaimed. "On what grounds?" A holographic display activated, showing clips from various space stations. Alien customers were having strange reactions to Earth food. One grew temporary wings after eating buffalo wings. Another started speaking in rhymes after trying Dr. Pepper, and a third had turned played, not their scales or skin, but actually played, after eating Scottish haggis. These incidents, announced Commissioner Blorp, a gelatinous being from Proxima Centauri, prove that Earth food is unpredictable and dangerous. Who knows what other mutations it might cause? Zixa's scales began to shift through colors rapidly as she processed this information. The other ambassadors started arguing. Earth drinks made my third liver start singing. Their ice cream gave my species temporary time travel hiccups. I ate something called pop rocks and actually popped. Chef Rodriguez looked devastated. He had been planning to open the first Earth-Silaxian fusion restaurant in the galaxy. But then Zixa noticed something odd about the holographic evidence. "Wait," she said, her scales turning detective yellow. "Look at the timestamps." Using her cooking-enhanced knowledge of Earth measurements, she pointed out that all the incidents happened exactly 3.14 minutes apart. That's not possible without coordination. And why does every clip end with the affected alien walking into the same door? Director Chen leaned forward. "Computer, enhance the door sign in each clip." The image magnified, revealing a tiny logo, Zarblax Entertainment. Making reality shows that are totally real and not fake at all. The chamber erupted in new chaos. Commissioner Blorp tried to slither away but was stopped by security. Under questioning, he admitted that Zarblax Entertainment had paid him to create this crisis. Their real goal? To boost ratings for their new show, When Earth Food Attacks. But the reactions were real. Blorp protested. "We just scheduled them carefully, and maybe enhanced them. Slightly." The wings were inflatable, weren't they? Chef Rodriguez asked, fighting back a grin. "And the plate was just a holographic overlay," Zixa added, her scales now showing unused orange. "But the speaking in rhymes. Dr. Pepper actually did that," Blorp admitted. "We still don't know how." As the security team led Commissioner Blorp away, Chef Rodriguez turned to Zixa. "I can't believe you spotted those details. How did you know?" "From our cooking lessons," she explained. "You taught me Earth measurements, timing, and most importantly," her scales rippled with pride, "how to spot when something is genuinely spicy versus artificially enhanced." Director Chen cleared her throat. "Well, Ambassador, it seems your culinary training has evolved into investigative skills, but we still have a problem. The public has seen these videos. How do we restore trust in Earth cuisine?" Zixa's scales suddenly shifted to inspiration gold. What if we show them something real? Something that proves Earth food can create genuine wonder without any tricks. She began to glow softly, her scales reacting to the residual spices still in her system. What if we show them what happens when cultures truly blend? Chef Rodriguez's eyes widened as he understood. A cooking show. "No," Zixa said, her glow intensifying. "A cooking revolution." But as the ambassadors gathered around to hear her plan, none of them noticed the small drone recording everything from the corner. Somewhere in the galaxy, a Zarblax Entertainment producer was watching, and they weren't done creating drama yet. 2 days after exposing the fake food crisis, Ambassador Zixa found herself in an unusual situation, cooking in front of 17 floating camera drones while her scales created a light show that would make Earth's northern lights jealous. And that's how you properly blend Earth's wasabi with Xylaxian glow root, she explained to the cameras, her scales pulsing with green and blue patterns. Notice how the combination creates both flavor and illumination. Chef Rodriguez stood beside her, adding, "This is real fusion cuisine. No special effects needed." Their new cooking show, Cooking with the Stars, literally, had become an overnight galactic sensation. Billions of beings across the galaxy watched as Zixa's natural bioluminescence reacted with Earth spices to create spectacular light shows while cooking. But during their 4th episode's recording, something strange happened. A drone malfunctioned, spinning wildly before crashing into their spice rack. As bottles tumbled through the air, Zixa instinctively turned transparent, her species' defensive reaction. That's when she saw it. Hidden behind the regular camera drones was a different device, barely visible and definitely not part of the show's equipment. Its lens wasn't focused on the cooking at all, but on the diplomatic center's secure data terminals visible through the kitchen window. Her 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep thought in her species. Why would someone hide a camera pointing at? "Cut," called the director. "Let's take 5 while we clean up this mess." As the crew rushed to sweep up spilled spices, Zixa pulled Chef Rodriguez aside, her scales now a worried purple. "Michael," she whispered, using his first name for the first time, "I think we have a problem. A real one this time." She explained about the hidden camera. Rodriguez's expression grew serious. "The data terminals. But they contain all of Earth's food recipes." Zixa finished. "No, they contain Earth's defense codes." Rodriguez stared at her. "How do you know about?" "Because," her scales shifted to a deep blue of sadness, "my original mission wasn't just about food. The Xylaxian High Council wanted me to access those terminals during my diplomatic visit. They thought humans were planning to invade us." "What? Why would they think?" "All our research showed humans constantly preparing food, testing new recipes, expanding their culinary skills. We thought it was preparation for consuming other species." Rodriguez couldn't help it. He burst out laughing. "So when I was assigned as your liaison, I thought I was going to be dinner," Zixa admitted, her scales turning embarrassment pink. "Instead, I learned that humans don't want to eat other species. They want to cook for them." "But the hidden camera isn't from my people," she said firmly. "The Xylaxian Council already dropped those plans after our first cooking lesson. Someone else is trying to steal Earth's defense codes." Suddenly, the kitchen lights flickered. The spice rack began to vibrate, and a strange humming filled the air. "What's happening?" Rodriguez asked, grabbing onto the counter. Zixa's scales turned alarm red. "Remember that entertainment company? Zarblax." "Yeah. They're not really an entertainment company. They're infamous galactic spice pirates." "Spice pirates?" Rodriguez looked confused. "Like cinnamon thieves?" "No." Zixa's scales pulsed with urgency. "They steal secrets using entertainment as a cover. And they're about to." The kitchen floor began to glow with teleportation energy. "Make their move," she finished, just as heavily armed figures materialized around them. The lead figure stepped forward, removing a helmet to reveal a face that made Zixa's scales turn white with shock. It was her old cooking instructor from Xylax, the one who had first warned her about the dangers of humans. "Hello, my former student," the instructor said with a wicked grin. "Ready for your final lesson?" "Chef Victor," Zixa addressed her former instructor, her scales rippling between fear white and determination green. "You taught me that food was a weapon. Now I understand you meant it literally." The older Xylaxian scales flickered with dark amusement. "Humans have the best defense systems in the galaxy, and their weakness. They keep the control codes in plain sight, because no one suspects a kitchen. Actually, Chef Rodriguez interrupted, slowly reaching for a nearby spice rack. Humans keep things in plain sight because sometimes the obvious thing. He grabbed a jar of cinnamon. Is exactly what you need. He threw the jar, creating a cloud of brown spice. The pirates' electronic systems began to spark, Earth Cinnamon's high conductivity interfering with their gear. Now, Zixa shouted, activating her bioluminescent scales at full power. The combination of cinnamon dust and thylaxian light created a blinding flash. But Chef Vixthor just laughed. You think I didn't prepare for your little light show? The pirates pulled out special visors. I taught you everything you know about cooking. Not everything, Zixa said, grabbing a bottle of vanilla extract. Earth cooking taught me something new. Sometimes the best recipes are accidents. She sprayed the vanilla into the air conditioning vent. The pirates looked confused until their scales started to change color uncontrollably. What's happening? Chef Vixthor demanded, his scales cycling through rainbow colors like a malfunctioning disco ball. Fun fact, Rodriguez grinned. Earth vanilla extract affects thylaxian color-changing cells. We discovered that during last week's failed attempt at vanilla ice cream, the pirates were now glowing so brightly they could be seen from space. Several dropped their weapons, trying desperately to control their scales. And here's another Earth cooking lesson, Zixa added, reaching for a large pot. Always keep your stock ready. She and Rodriguez lifted the pot together, dumping yesterday's experimental fusion broth over the pirates' equipment. The combination of Earth and thylaxian ingredients created an unexpected chemical reaction, turning all their high-tech gear into something that looked suspiciously like green jello. My equipment, Chef Vixthor screeched, trying to shake the wobbling substance off his weapons. Do you know how much stolen recipe money paid for this? Speaking of recipes, Director Chen's voice came from the doorway. She stood with the security team, all wearing protective gear and trying not to laugh at the glowing, jello-covered pirates. We've got a special one for you. It's called Maximum Security Prison with a Side of Justice. As the security team moved in, Chef Vixthor glared at his former student. How did you know the vanilla would affect our scales? I didn't, Zixa admitted, her scales showing proud gold. But that's what Earth taught me. Sometimes you have to trust your ingredients and improvise. Also, Rodriguez added, helping security collect the weaponized jello. Maybe don't hide spy cameras behind a spice rack. That's just asking for trouble. Later, as they cleaned up the mess, Director Chen had a question. Ambassador, that broth you used, what exactly was in it? Zixa and Rodriguez exchanged glances. Well, she said, her scales turning mischief purple, remember how we were trying to create a dish that would let humans temporarily experience thylaxian color changing? We didn't quite succeed, Rodriguez continued, but we did create something that turns technology into gelatin. We were going to call it a failed experiment, but maybe, Zixa finished, her scales now showing inspiration gold. We just invented the galaxy's first fusion defense system, culinary warfare. Director Chen stared at the jiggling remains of the pirates' equipment. Are you suggesting we could defend Earth using weaponized cooking? Why not? Rodriguez grinned. No one would suspect the power of a good recipe. As they discussed the possibilities, none of them noticed that one of the security cameras was still working, broadcasting everything to a very interested audience across the galaxy. The cooking show had just gotten a lot more interesting, and somewhere, a certain entertainment executive was already planning Season 2. 6 months after this Spice Pirate incident, now a popular episode on their cooking show, Ambassador Zixa stood on stage at the grand opening of Glowing Tastes, the first Earth Thylaxian fusion restaurant in the galaxy. Her scales shimmered with excitement gold as she faced the massive crowd. Representatives from 50 alien species had come, along with what seemed like every food critic in the known universe. Even the Galactic Council members were there, floating in their anti-gravity pods and trying to pretend they hadn't all binged-watched her cooking show. When I first came to Earth, Zixa began, her scales shifting to memory blue. I thought humans wanted to eat me. Instead, they taught me to cook, and through cooking, we discovered something amazing. Chef Rodriguez joined her on stage, carrying a covered dish. We discovered that food isn't just about eating. It's about bringing people and species together. They unveiled their signature dish, Aurora Sushi. The rolls glowed with shifting colors thanks to the interaction between Zixa's bioluminescent seasonings and Earth wasabi. The crowd gasped as the food created dancing lights above each plate. But that's not all. Zixa continued, her scales turning mischief purple. Today, we're announcing that Glowing Tastes isn't just a restaurant. Director Chen stepped forward, holding what looked like a normal salt shaker. Thanks to Ambassador Zixa and Chef Rodriguez's accidental discovery, we're proud to announce the galaxy's first culinary defense system. She sprinkled the contents over a small drone. Instead of attacking, it started playing Earth dance music and released rainbow bubbles. Our new seasoned security division, Rodriguez explained, has developed non-lethal defense spices that can turn any weapon into either harmless gelatin or, in this case, a portable party. The audience laughed until a real emergency alarm blared. Alert, unident HFY, ship approaching. Before anyone could panic, Zixa's scales turned calm green. Watch this, she said, pressing a button. The restaurant's ventilation system activated, releasing a special blend of Earth cinnamon and Silaxian glow spice into space. On the main screen, everyone watched as the approaching ship was engulfed in a cloud of sparkling spices. Instead of attacking, the ship's weapons transformed into giant floating bubble makers. The would-be attackers found themselves hosting an impromptu space disco. As you can see, Zixa announced while her scales rippled with amusement, Earth's love of cooking and Silaxian bioluminescence have created something unique, peace through food. And the best part, Rodriguez added, the effects wear off after an hour, leaving attackers hungry and usually booking a dinner reservation. The crowd erupted in applause. Food critics were already calling it the tastiest defense strategy in history. The Galactic Council immediately ordered the galaxy's first culinary defense force. Later that evening, as the restaurant served its first official meals, Zixa found herself in the kitchen with Rodriguez, preparing their special dessert, Misconception Mousse, a color-changing chocolate dish that tasted like different happy memories for each species. You know, she said, her scales showing contentment gold, when I first met you, I thought you were going to eat me. Rodriguez laughed while sprinkling sparkle spice on a dessert. And now look at us, saving the galaxy one recipe at a time. Though technically, Zixa added, her scales flickering with humor, you did end up eating like a Silaxian. You're glowing. Indeed, after months of cooking with Silaxian spices, Rodriguez had developed this slight shimmer when he cooked. The first human to show signs of temporary bioluminescence. Does this mean humans are evolving? Director Chen asked, entering the kitchen. No, Zixa replied, her scales showing wisdom silver. It means we're blending, just like our recipes. Outside, the restaurant sign glowed with shifting colors, visible from space. Below it, a smaller sign read, where peace comes with a side of sparkles. No reservations needed. Space pirates welcome. Weapons will be turned into dessert. And somewhere in the galaxy, a young Silaxian watched the news about the restaurant's opening and decided that maybe, just maybe, humans weren't so scary after all. They just had a different way of sharing the taste of friendship.